Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Marina, and today I'm thrilled to show you how to create this stunning handcrafted mirror using epoxy and Swarovski stones. This project is perfect for adding a touch of elegance to any room. We'll go step by step, so let's dive in and transform a plain mirror into a masterpiece. Make sure your workspace is well ventilated and you have all your materials ready before starting. Safety first, always wear gloves and work in a well-ventilated area. Let's start by preparing the mirror. Put on your gloves to keep everything clean. Use a cotton pad well soaked in acetone to thoroughly clean the surface of the mirror. This ensures that the epoxy adheres properly and your design comes out perfect. Alternatively, you can use a microfiber cloth for a final wipe down to remove any remaining residues. Now, we'll mix our epoxy. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for the correct ratio of resin to hardener. Pour the epoxy into your mixing container and add an equal amount of hardener. Stir slowly to avoid bubbles. To mix the epoxy, measure out 2 parts of the resin and 1 part of the hardener according to the manufacturer's guidelines. Combine them in a mixing container and stir slowly to avoid creating bubbles. Make sure to mix thoroughly for a smooth, consistent blend before adding the Swarovski stones. Now let's start by placing our Swarovski stones on the mirror. You can arrange them in any design you like, whether it's a simple pattern or something more intricate. This will be the foundation of our final piece. After arranging the stones, gently pour a small amount of epoxy over them. This will help to secure the stones in place and create a beautiful layered effect. I'm using both clear and blue stones to add variety and depth. Make sure to pour just enough epoxy to cover the stones without overwhelming them. Next, we'll prepare our epoxy with dry pearlescent pigments. Choose the colors that complement your design. I'm selecting shades that will add a shimmering effect to our mirror. Mix the pigments into the epoxy thoroughly. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for the correct ratio of resin to hardener. For my epoxy, I use a ratio of 2:1, meaning 2 parts resin to 1 part hardener. Now let's start forming the design on the mirror. Pour the pigmented epoxy onto the surface, either starting in the center or along the edges, depending on your desired effect. Use a spatula or spreader to distribute the epoxy. Create patterns, swirls, or even leave it with a more organic look. Be creative and experiment with different designs. Here, I'm making gentle swirls and using a heat gun to remove air bubbles and to help the epoxy flow more smoothly. Now, let's finish up with some final touches. Check for any areas that might need a bit more epoxy or paint. You can use a small brush or stick to make tiny adjustments. Also check for any air bubbles that might have formed and gently use a heat gun to remove them. This will help the epoxy settle smoothly and ensure a flawless finish. And here it is, our finished handcrafted mirror. Look at how the Swarovski stones catch the light and the beautiful patterns we created. It's a unique piece that's sure to be a focal point in any room. Thank you so much for joining me on this project. I hope you enjoyed creating this beautiful mirror as much as I did. If you love this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more DIY projects and art tutorials.